What's good? What's good? I'm back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett podcast. This is episode 107. Before we get started, I'm gonna let you know I might have my first guest on for my podcast. Good friend Byron Brooks from the Bmore area out there in Baltimore area, Maryland. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz and New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. Let's go ahead and plug them in.
Yo, what's good, my man?
What's good? What's good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, man. Been a long time, man.
A long time. Decades, man. It's been about 20 damn years.
Both getting old, man. Both getting old.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So how was your work day?
Good, man. Can't complain. I got a fairly easy job. I work for a real estate agency. I do graphic design work for them. So they let me come in, leave whenever I want. So they really support my comedy career. So they're real cool. They let me do what I want, have time off when I need it. Real cool company called Guerrilla Real Estate.
What are you doing on as far as graphic designs? What all do you do for them?
I do all of their graphics for social media, Facebook, Instagram.
You designing the post and stuff?
The post, the marketing. I'm putting up listings, house listings on Instagram and on social media and anything that has to do with a computer, basically I do for them.
Yeah, graphic design is like one of my not good points. Like I could do it, advertising, marketing, some video editing, music editing, but graphic design has never really been my thing, man.
Well, you're an artist, you could get it, man.
Yeah, I could if I took the time for it, you know what I'm saying? But I got so much going on, it's hard for me to focus on the four things I got going. I wanted to start though kind of when we first met, right?
Okay.
We were co-workers. Co-workers, Fazoli's fast food,
yes,
Italian. And I was a hip hop artist, and you had a band. If I'm not mistaken, it was a cover band.
That is right. It was a cover band called the Lab Rats.
The Lab Rats. And y'all bands be coming up with these these crazy names. Now, how did you really get started into playing in a band, and what cover artists did y'all do?
Well, back then, let's see, Jesus, that was like 2000, 2001 probably. It was a cover band of mostly like the new metal from that era, so like Deftones, Korn, things like that.
Okay, so y'all were a metal band.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit, things, popular.
Okay, was Limp Bizkit actually considered metal?
They went on tour with a lot of metal bands, so they were lumped into the whole metal thing, but they were something different.
So they kind of used the metal bands to break themselves, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, kind of like Insane Clown Posse did with I forgot who it was, or was it? It was somebody that toured with Insane Clown Posse, I think, like Tech Nine or somebody like that.
Yeah, Tech Nine toured with them. Yep.
Yeah. And he didn't really fit totally with them, but he kind of did because he was a weirdo somewhat.
Yeah, but hey, you got to think about it. Like one of the biggest tours ever was Rage Against the Machine with Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So different genres have always been trying to help each other out. I feel like.
Now, do you think this is something I want to ask you? Being a cover band, do you always find it easier to get shows? Like as a hip hop artist, it was so hard to get shows.
Yeah.
But as a cover band, y'all actually do popular music.
So that's fast forward into when I moved to Baltimore, Maryland. I had another. It was an original band, but we called ourselves a cover band. It was called Three-Legged Monkey. We would play classic like Metallica, Megadeth, things like that, just to get in the door.
Get in the door, and then throw your original in.
And then every like third song we throw an original in. You know what I mean? But definitely, like if we came at them like, look, we're an original band. We're doing all original songs. People would be like, nah. People here want to hear familiar songs. So I think, honestly, any band that's out there, should learn covers just to get your foot in the door. Once you get your foot in the door, play what the fuck you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I mean, like, I always saw it hard to get shows as a hip hop artist. Because hip hop, we can't do that. We can't
you can't.
Like, if we do cover music, it's so frowned upon. But in the rock world or bands, any kind of bands, it's not frowned upon. Why do you think that is?
I think it has to do with the instruments. I just think, like a familiar melody is it's like universal. Like let's take rap for instance. When you put a beat that's a sample, nobody frowns upon that, right? I think it has to do with the instruments. I think that's where the leeway comes in with, rock bands and things like that. With rappers, you don't have a band behind you. Like I bet you the Roots. Yeah, the Roots didn't have that problem. I guarantee you they didn't have that problem because they could probably just come in, do a 2-3 minute instrumental, of a song that people like, and then do their original shit. You know what I mean? I think it's those instruments behind them. That
you play the guitar, right?
I play everything.
You play everything?
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get into playing instruments? Like, I never really got into playing instruments like that.
I've been doing it since I was a little kid, man. The first thing I ever did extracurricular was martial arts. But soon after, my parents really wanted me to learn how to play the piano.
So you were disciplined from the start, because martial arts is a lot of discipline, and I know learning an instrument is a lot of discipline.
Yep. A lot of repetition. Both of them. It's just repetition, man.
Was there a specific artist that got you into it though? Like
that got me into. Well, I'll just say this: when I was playing piano as a young kid, I fucking hated every minute of it. I did not like playing piano. I did not like the songs I was playing because, a traditional piano teacher is going to make you play, church songs. They're going to make you play classical stuff. And I didn't know any of that. And I was like, well, can I play, something that's on the soundtrack of a movie or some shit like that? You know what I mean? So I didn't really enjoy playing piano when I did. But playing piano made it easier for me to pick up other instruments. So when I got into like middle school, I was really into rap in middle school, and I was actually writing down lyrics, and I wanted to be a rapper. But then I was like, I don't have nobody making beats for me. Let me just see what I can do with this drum set or something like that. And once I got into playing like music with instruments, it was just like, okay, I'm going to play anything that has a
drums when it came to the band part, right?
It started with drums and hip hop.
Yeah.
And then it morphed because I knew how to play all these different instruments. It morphed into, I just want to learn how to play because I'm enjoying it. So anything you put in front of me, I'm going to try and learn how to play that. So you could put a country song in front of me when I was first starting. Hey, I'm going to learn how to play that. A punk song, a metal song, it didn't matter. I just wanted to learn different shit.
You're just a music lover.
Yeah,
you're kind of where I'm at now. Like I started out as a hip hop guy, and my appreciation for hip hop is kind of de-appreciated. Like it's just because now it's not the same. There's no originality. They don't use samples no more because it's so expensive to use samples. So that's taken away from a lot of the art form. That's why all the beats sound the same. So now I'm just kind of become a music lover, more into the pop and R&B and rock and and heavy metal though has always been a tough one for me because I got a poster of Jimi Hendrix right here on my wall, and heavy metal today is not what like Jimi Hendrix started. It's changed so much.
It's way different.
And like I can't get into like the real gory heavy metal without a roar.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I remember when hip hop first came out, they was like, how can you understand that? I can't never understand that. But the people who listen to heavy metal closely, they understand it. You just got to really always listen to the music.
It's something that, it's familiar once you listen to it for a while. But I'll tell you how I got into heavy metal is, as I was saying, I'm learning how to play guitar, I'm learning how to play drums, and I'm looking at who are the best people at playing these instruments. And then one of my friends, you might even remember him. Remember my boy Eric Bunce, the hippie dude?
I remember you used to have some hippie dudes around you.
Yeah. He introduced me to, I forgot what band it was. It might have been Slayer or Metallica or something like that. And he was like, don't listen to the screaming, listen to the instruments in the background. And once I started settling into those instruments, I'm like, Jesus Christ, these guys are super technical. Like, they're doing stuff that these other dudes ain't doing. So I really started listening to heavy metal and realizing that some of the best musicians, technical musicians, play heavy metal.
Well, Jimmy, isn't that why Jimmy was so great? Because he was just so technical.
He was super technical, and plus he was super original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and super original. What's your take on somebody like Nirvana?
Definitely Hall of Fame band, man. They took something simple and made it their own. And if you realize, there's nobody that sounds like Nirvana before them, and there's no really people who sound like Nirvana after them. Yeah. They're just a great original band, man. I wouldn't call them super technical. Like
I felt like they had two of the best debut singles ever for a band.
Ever, man. Smells Like Teen Spirit, man. I remember seeing that on MTV. Like they used to play that almost every 30 minutes.
And even the follow-up, the Come As You Are.
Yep.
I mean, that's such a universal song, man. It's like, it's just really like, just how, it's like you're kind of more into the heavy metal.
Yeah.
And that should be kind of more me because I'm a white kid and I'm more into hip hop. And I think that's what's great about, what I'm saying, just being free, living free, being free. Is you can choose to view how you want to view, like what you want to like, I mean, because I noticed, like, when back in the days when I worked at Fazoli's, I noticed I used to always cling with the black chicks that really liked like rock music or punk rock music.
Yep.
Because I was attracted to black chicks so much, but and I didn't really listen to punk rock, but it was just something about them that just clinged so better for me. Yep. And I think that's the beautiful. I want to get a couple of these. Actually, I want to get into your comedy thing too.
Sure.
How did you translate from? I never knew you did comedy back. Did you do comedy at all back then?
No, not at all.
How did you evolve into that? Because I've evolved into some other things myself.
Yeah, huge comedy fan all my life. Like stand-up comedy has been a part of my life my entire life. But I never thought I could do it.
Okay.
I always thought, like most people thought, you had to be some type of actor or a big superstar.
Okay.
And then those guys got, let me try this comedy thing and then go out and do like a comedy tour. I didn't know that there were people who just did comedy.
Yeah, kind of like the actors on Broadway.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that was a thing until I got older.
Okay.
I started listening to Joe Rogan podcast, Church of What's Happening. Well, it was the Church of What's Happening Now back then with Joey Diaz, and they were always talking about open mics and rookie comics and back when they started and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I could do that shit. Like I think at the time I'm already competitive at martial arts. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I can step in a cage in my fucking underwear and get punched in the face, you know what I mean? I can fucking go up on stage and tell some jokes.
Yeah.
So when I got to I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I really started doing it when I stopped competing at martial arts. So I'm still a coach. I still go and I train. I do things like that. But when my competition, I retire. I decide I want to retire from my competition life. I was like, I got to do something else to boost this adrenaline. You know what I mean?
Is Joe Rogan even funny as a comedian? I've never seen him do stand up.
Yes, he's very funny. I wouldn't call him one of the goats or anything like that, but he's a funny dude, man. He's kind of got a style, kind of like a new age. What's that dude who used to yell back in the day? Long hair, used to wear a trench coat.
I don't remember.
Fuck, what's his name? He's kind of like him. He's real high energy. He's a good comic, man. He's been doing that longer than anything else.
I noticed a lot of these podcasters actually all do stand up. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and I've been wondering how funny are these guys really? Because they're good podcasters, but like I think even the Hodges twins. You familiar with them, the Hodges twins?
Yeah, that's different though.
So they don't do really stand up. They just do guest appearances.
They do more like appearances. They call it stand up.
Now, what about ABBA and Preach? Don't they do stand up?
ABBA, what is it? ABBA or Preach?
Because they were on the Schultz recently.
Is a stand up comedian. He was
on Schultz recently, and they were talking about it.
Yeah, he was doing stand up before he was a YouTuber.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like Rogan's been doing stand up for 35 plus years before he ever was on Fear Factor or news radio and all that.
So he's always been doing stand up before he was on MMA too?
Yep, but that's the first thing he's done. He's always done it since. That's his.
Okay, so I guess Joe Rogan is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
He's the world's biggest podcaster, but I've never really seen him do stand-up. But I know he's doing it.
He's a stand-up first and foremost.
You can't be that bad at it if you're always doing it and get paid for it.
Yep. First and foremost, he's now like the Hodge twins got big on YouTube and then decided to do.
Decided to kind of branch out into that.
Yeah, so their comedy isn't all that great, but when you're talking to somebody who's been doing something for 35 years, they're gonna be good. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now, what's the correlation of like writing songs and coming up with jokes? And which is easier, actually? Is it easier to write a song and a hook?
It's easier to write a song and a hook because you have the music behind you. You know what I mean? So even if you don't have any particular words in your head, you can kind of listen to the music and then, this kind of goes with that. Like scat something out. You know what I mean? This kind of goes with that beat. These words kind of make sense. With comedy, it's a little bit harder.
It seems like you almost got to be like a movie producer. Like you got to write a script or really come up with a subject or a story that you want to tell and tell it funny.
Yeah, that's the problem. As you write more, of course, your writing is going to get funnier and your writing is going to get better. But you never really know what's going to be funny until you take it in front of an audience. So I can write 15 minutes of material in 1 week. What really, I take it to an open mic, I might keep three of those 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Because I thought it was funny, but then, I say it in front of the audience and I get fucking crickets, So it's all about like comedy writing is about trial and error. You write as much as you can. You take them to an open mic in front of other comics. If they don't laugh, you either need to throw it away or rewrite it. If they do laugh, keep it.
Use it again.
Use it again and improve on it.
Now, as a comedian, is it somewhat like trying to break yourself as a musician?
Yes. It
seems like it really is.
The parallel between making it as a musician and making it as a comic is almost identical.
You pretty much got to perform everywhere, right?
You perform everywhere. You end up in the same venues. I don't know how many shows I've done with bands.
Yeah.
Like a band comes up, a couple of comedians come up, another band comes up, a couple of comedians come up. Like it's the same world.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Yep.
I thought so. Yeah. It just seemed
And,
like the same grind, like this long, hideous process of really building your fan base up and getting that word of mouth out there of, you know, this guy's the up and coming comedian or this guy's the up and coming musician or whatever.
And you don't turn down shows no matter where the fuck.
No matter what, no matter if they're getting paid or not. Now that's the problem with musicians nowadays, right?
Everybody
they should always get paid.
Yeah, that's not the case, man. You're getting paid. You're getting paid in mic time. You're getting paid to get better. So when you do really get paid, you're getting paid good. Like it's the egos in the comedy scene blows my fucking mind, man. There's
Are they bigger than rappers' egos?
Oh yeah. The arrogance and the egos, I would think, are bigger than rappers' egos because comedians want to be seen and heard all the time. All the time. I mean, I'm one of those people too. I check myself a lot, and that has to do with my martial arts background. And being that I've done that for 12 years, I know what to expect when you're doing something for a long time. So me doing this for 5 years, I don't have any big expectations, but the people around me, I feel like think they should have a Netflix special next week. You know what I mean?
That's how rappers are. and they want to start rapping last week. Just last week, recorded song, their first song, and think they should be getting paid shows next week. And you only been rapping 2 weeks, so I guess it's really the same thing. They got they both got these super big egos. Now, what I think about being a comedian and getting paid for it has got to be one of the greatest things.
Oh, it feels good
in the world. Like to actually get paid to make people laugh. I mean, I can't think of nothing that's better. Like, cause laughing is like it's the utmost feeling to have.
Yeah.
In society is just constantly laughing, humor. You know, cause that means your life is just peaches and cream, man. Everything is going good if you always
you ain't
laughing,
thinking about
man.
anything else. You are thinking when you're laughing, you're not thinking about anything.
Yeah, you're not thinking of nothing else, man.
Yep, and it's a really good feeling to go out, have a good set, make people laugh, and then at the end of the night, somebody hand you some money. Like I'm on cloud 9 for at least 48 hours.
So basically,
you know what I mean?
do open mics. You'll do open mics, and people just give you donations.
Oh no, not open mics. I'm talking shows.
Oh, shows. So yeah, and that's the thing. It's hard. Like, I mean, as a musician, when I got any kind of paid show, it was the best feeling. So I know as a comedian, it's got to be super great.
Yeah.
Got to be super great. Now you said you just got into it because. Not really because no specific comedians inspired you, just kind of because you kind of just wanted something else to compete in, right?
Dude, yeah, I wanted something new, and I tell you this. I was what really like I said, I'd be listening to Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, and always hearing them talking about being, first year comics, and I met this first year comic, and he's doing this, and he's expecting that, and. It was almost like I was getting lessons from them before I even started. And I think the last thing that really clicked was, like I said, I've always been a comedy fan. So I'm on Netflix looking at specials and stuff. And I forget who it was, but I turned on somebody's special with my wife. And we got about 10 minutes through it, and I turned the shit off. And I was like, if this person can get a special.
If this guy's funny. Yeah,
if this guy's funny, I can do this shit.
And I've seen this sometimes where I watch people and I'll be like, what do people see in this guy that's funny? Like, I never saw what people thought was funny about Seinfeld. Yeah. It wasn't like Charlie, it wasn't funny like Charlie and Sheen 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Like I'm just dying laughing constantly. I guess some people got different humors, but I still sometimes be like, what do people see in this guy or this woman that's funny?
Yeah, well, everybody's got a different sense of humor. Everybody wants to hear a certain type of humor. it doesn't necessarily mean the person's not funny, but that just not be their demographic.
I got another one for you.
Yeah.
My man off of the Second Friday. What's his name?
Mike Epps.
Mike Epps. I never thought he was funny, really.
I didn't really find his specials funny either.
I never really thought he was funny. Like, yep. It's just not even really as in the movies or specials.
He's got, but like I said, they got their fans. Yeah. A lot of these people, when they get to a high level, I notice, like, I'll tell you, this is a good way to explain it. If you're performing and your audience came there specifically to see you, you can almost do horribly. They're still going to laugh because it's you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the same thing is when these guys get bigger, they have their own audience. Like their audience thinks that they're hilarious, but somebody from the outside, somebody like a Chappelle fan could go see that and be like, oh, why are all these people laughing? You know what I mean? It's because it's their audience. You know what I mean? I've always tried to be, I don't want to be stuck like that. I want to be able to make everybody laugh. You know what I mean? Some people aren't like, I literally had like delusional, new comedians who've been doing it 4 or 5 years. I had a dude tell me the other day that he felt like he's been doing it long enough that he doesn't have to do comedy with certain types of comedians or be on these shows. And I wanted to tell him, like, we're all struggling for shows, dude. Like, take what you can get no matter where it is. Like, don't come fucking complaining to me because you aren't getting paid for shows because you want to, only do it with, straight white men, or I only want to do it with girls, or, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense.
So people are like that in the comedy world where they're just really picky about who they're doing comedy with?
Yeah, because let's say you have an urban act with a bunch of guys who were like,
I think Album Preach was talking about this, where sometimes they just want, like, if they got one black act already, like, booked, they won't book another one or something.
Yeah, bookers, you got 2 type of bookers. You have 3 types. You have a booker that's always going to look at diversity first before they look at funny. So they might have 1 or 2 really funny guys on there, but they're like, oh, I need a white girl, I need a black guy, I need this, just to make it look diverse, which is I don't have any problem with that because it gets everybody seen, it gets everybody heard. Then you got the bookers who only want the funniest people. It doesn't matter what race, sex, or if you end up with all black guys. That's what I want.
That's the booker I want. The guy who has the funniest.
Yeah. But the problem with that is the funniest, this guy may not be the funniest to another group.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got let's say you got a show full of, they got 4 really high energy black comedians who talk about black subjects. And then you got a killer white guy but he's talking about, kids and family, and he's a little cleaner. That guy is going to get eaten apart on stage, even though at another show, he might get a standing ovation.
So y'all got to go to the point where y'all match up like the subject matters and stuff with people?
It all depends on the booker. Like I said, I personally think that your comedy should be universal and you should be able to make whoever it is laugh. You know what I mean? But some comedians they have a style that they only make rich people laugh. They only make white people laugh. They only make young people laugh, or they only make old people laugh. I don't want to get stuck in one of those. Situations.
You said Joe Rogan was one of the first people you watched. What's your take on what's going on with him, man?
As in, well, he was one of the first podcasters I listened to. I wouldn't say he was one of the first people I watched. Right now, really honestly, we'll start with the whole COVID thing. He's allowed as a podcaster to have whatever fucking beliefs on what guests he wants. You know what I mean? That's his podcast. He's not obligated to please the audience. I think he fucked up by going to Spotify because now he's under scrutiny of a company. So if he fucks up or if he says something wrong, he runs a chance of losing that $1 million contract.
Well, Rumble offered him $100 million.
Yeah. So we'll see how that happens.
And I'm pretty sure, like, I've seen other podcasters like Valuetainment saying that they think if Spotify did try to drop him, Elon Musk could just step up and throw him some money his way. Because Elon Musk has been backing him. I mean, because all this really is suppression of free speech, and
it is.
Like,
but I'll say this about it as well. Like I said, I've been listening to the Rogan. I actually stopped listening to his podcast probably about 3 years ago, not because of anything controversial or anything. It's just that I have been listening for a decade, and it started to sound like every podcast started to sound the same.
Yeah.
So I just got tired of the repetitiveness. But I remember back in 2014 when he was saying, podcasts when he would say the N-word and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I remember back then being like, man, I know you're not racist, but man, this is going to come back to bite your ass. Like I remember thinking back then, like, this is going to come back and bite your ass.
Yeah.
So it's not a big surprise for me when somebody, when people who don't like him are going to pull up some shit from the past.
But how much misinformation does Jen Psaki put out every day?
Exactly.
I just think, like, this is the thing that gets me is, like, when there's a hypocritical stance going on one side, and then it's like,
well, to me, the bottom line is when people start talking about this censoring and shit like that, what they're doing is protecting the dummies from hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, well, if you're going to be a fucking dummy, then, you deserve dummy consequences.
Nah, it's like, when I hear these leftist political radicals be like, all white people are racist, I don't sit there and be like, somebody needs to shut these motherfuckers up. I just be like, man, these motherfucking idiots, they don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't know, but, like, I'm not saying, like, we need to suppress their views, their thoughts, their speech, or anything. Because, I mean, even, like, you had times when the Black Panther and the KKK were both spewing hate.
Yeah.
On each side.
Yeah.
And nobody, like, we didn't need to suppress either side. You know what I'm saying? Because the Black Panther, I mean, I'm pretty sure they use, like, I freely use on the podcast the cracker, honky word. Like, I don't get offended by these things. Yeah. It's like,
well, I'm not gonna get pissed off at Joe Rogan because he used the word. I know the context of how he used the word.
Yeah.
I don't like that he did use the word.
He definitely used it too much.
He used it too much, but he's suffering the consequences of it now.
And that's the thing. I never said that word on my podcast. I always say the N-word. And I don't mind saying cracker or honky because I don't get offended because my whole thing is if I got offended, then there's that saying, if the shoe fits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's a learning experience, man. It's learning for us. It's learning for him.
Yeah.
I think I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, what it really comes down to is he forgot his rich white man privilege. That's what it came down to, and he's paying for it.
Was he really big at the time too?
He wasn't really big. Well, in my circle, he was big. I don't know if he's as big as he was now.
Like 12 years ago, I didn't know Joe Rogan as a podcaster.
I knew Joe Rogan as a podcaster. Let's see, 2014. That was like, I don't know, like 6.
And I was late to the podcasting party. So
in my circle, which was the MMA jiu-jitsu circle.
Okay. Yeah.
He was huge. He was like the biggest thing on the planet. You know what I mean?
What's your take on this? Like, I got a problem with this attack of cancel. Like, if cancel culture wants to go off after everything in the world, that's fine. But comedy, I always felt like was just like, it's open grounds, man. Like, if everybody in the room is laughing,
I think it's a bunch of smoke, yo. Name one person who's gotten canceled for something they've said on stage.
I mean, I think cancel culture is bogus anyways. I only think like really your real true consumers.
It's smoke.
Your real true consumers are the only ones that can cancel you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The people that just totally spend money on your lifestyle.
The people who have really been canceled is for shit that they did off stage or off of their job. You know what I mean? So, if you're raping people, you deserve what you get. You deserve to get fucking canceled. You know what I mean? But just for saying something off color, you're supposed to lose your job. Like,
I mean, what happened to the time where we would watch Archie Bunker and turn around and watch George Jefferson?
Yeah, two of the greatest shows on television.
Yep. Yeah, like George Jefferson used the word honky, and I would laugh my ass off at this guy. It's like, what happened to those times? Like, I was watching the Dave Chappelle, the race. What was it? The race draft.
The race draft, yeah.
And it was so like, right? If you did that today, all hell will break loose.
All hell would break loose, yeah.
All hell will break loose, and it was so funny. It was like what he said. They were, I forgot who they drafted, but like the white people drafted like Colin Powell.
Yeah.
And the black dude was like, "Well, I tell you what, we'll let you have Colin Powell only if you take Condoleezza Rice."
Condoleezza Rice.
And then right after that, he's like, the black delegate takes Eminem, and the boys like, hold the hell on. Hold on now. You can't, no. He's like, I'll tell you what. You can have Eminem. He's like, well, let's keep Eminem. We'll give you O.J. Simpson. He's like, hell yeah, we got O.J. back. I'm like, what happened to just these times? And now it's like, man, you fast forward, and it's like, you put that out, and it's like,
everybody now makes their money off of
wokeism.
Advertisement, and then the advertisers are saying you can't say this and you can't do that. The comedians whose money is based on subscriptions, people like Andrew Schultz, people like what's his name, like fucking what's his name, who were just talking about, Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about getting canceled because their money comes from a subscription base. Their fans are going to pay them regardless. They're not getting paid from Nike. They're not getting paid
what subscription
from Coca-Cola.
Schultz get paid from?
He gets paid. He gets paid mostly off the off his shows, and then he has a Patreon. So,
he uses a Patreon. I got a Patreon.
He uses a Patreon.
So he's probably got thousands and thousands and thousands of people kicking out Patreons. Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't have to worry about pissing off McDonald's or pissing off Nike or some shit like that. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. But in today's world, he can't, like, if Nike says, hey, I'm going to give you, $200 million, he might as well not take that because somebody's going to go back in 10 years and be like, oh, guess what Andrew Schultz said? And then Nike's going to be like, oh, we can't have him representing us. You know what I mean? So I think it's a must that comedians coming up now, first off, say what they want to say and not worry about getting canceled, and also start learning how to make their money without having some big corporation over there.
Now, are a lot of comedians biting their tongue and watching what they're saying in this climate?
Yes and no. From what I see with my own eyes, with the open mics, there are a couple, because you can go into certain, I'll take the Maryland area as an example. You can go to certain places in Maryland and they're not as progressive as other places, and those people will laugh at fucking anything.
Now, what's the most touching subject that you probably should never, that most people try not to go to? Is it like transgenders or something like that?
Right now, you can't make fun of gay people or transgenders. It's probably the biggest one right now.
But you could always make fun of gay people before.
Yep. So that's a good example.
And I
You go to
gay
certain
people
places.
with transgenders. They're not the same.
You go to an open mic, say in a certain part of Baltimore where they're super progressive and there's a whole bunch of the gay community is there. You better not say a joke about gay people. They'll get up and leave, man. You know what I mean? But you could take those same jokes out to out to the county. Those guys will love it. You know what I mean? So
are we too sensitive?
I think we're getting too sensitive, man. I think we're getting too sensitive, man.
Do we not make the guys? Do they stop making the guys that you see on like the steel bar 200 feet in the air, like skyscrapers? They don't make those no more.
We don't have those guys no more. Nope, nope, not at all.
Damn.
Yep. So
I just felt like we're just getting too sensitive. I mean, because even like these musicians going after Joe Rogan, I think it's such the biggest hypocritical stance ever. Because Luther Campbell fought for freedom of speech in Supreme Court for musicians, and musicians like they had Supreme Court going after them for freedom of speech way back in the NWA days, Cop Killer, Ice-T days, Marilyn Manson days.
I'm pretty sure people, when Neil Young was popular, I'm pretty sure there were church groups who were protesting him. So why are you turning it around and doing it to the younger generation? You didn't like it when it was done to you.
That's why I love what Eazy-E said in that movie Straight Outta Compton when they was taking the CDs and they were crushing them and breaking them. And he's like, damn, you make a few rap songs and the world go crazy. Like, hey, they paid for them. They can do whatever the hell they want to with them. You know what I'm saying? He done got his money for them. He didn't care. You know what I'm saying? It defeated the whole. They were just really they were helping the cause out even more.
Now I'll say this: us having this discussion and me saying all this, 98% of the shows I do, I have no problem with saying anything. Most comedy fans who were there to see comedy don't care what you say, and they understand. It's generally you get problems from people who didn't know that they were coming to a comedy show. They just showed up, or didn't do their research about who's on stage. Those are generally the people who you're going to get issues from, who's going to write a blog, who's going to heckle you. Just those people who didn't know they were coming out to a comedy show, or the friend was like, hey, let's go to a comedy show next week. And they're just like, oh, I want to go out, but they didn't know that, this material was going to be said, or this joke is going to be done, or, who's going to be there.
Let me ask you this. It's something I thought about. It kind of goes along with the Joe Rogan thing. Why do you think it's okay for white actors to get paid to say the N-word?
I think acting,
isn't that kind of like a double standard?
Acting is acting. I think acting is
how's that any different than somebody telling a story in the context of a story?
It's not. But I think the format is what makes it a little different. Like I hate to say it, I'm not a big fan of white comedians using the N-word. It's not.
I've never really heard a white comedian use the N-word personally.
Louis C.K. has a bit.
Okay.
That he does about who's that author who did Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer.
What was his name? I forgot.
Yeah, he has a bit that that's called in one of the stories in Huckleberry Finn, there's an actual character called Nigga Jim. And so he does a whole bit where he says the N-word.
That's how you know that I didn't read that book.
Yeah, that's one of the books that they were trying to get like banned in school libraries because it had.
Okay, I see that. I see why. Why. Okay.
So he does a whole bit about Nigga Jim, and he actually says the word about 4 or 5 times in his bit. The bit is funny as shit, but man, me as a black person, it makes me feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I'm not going to tell him to stop doing it. He's getting his bag. He's getting laughs. The context is okay, but I don't feel comfortable with him saying that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hate on the dude.
I always just felt like it's just safer and easier for white people to just say the N word, not just say it as the N word, and then everybody knows what you're talking about. You know.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I always say, you know what you're getting yourself into by using that word.
I think the only time white people are allowed to say it is when we're reciting hip hop music by ourselves.
Yeah, pretty
when you're
much.
Reciting 50 Cent, there's no way you can't say you're reciting 50 Cent and you can't say the N word.
Yeah.
He says it so many damn times, and I love 50 Cent, you know.
And see, I think I would have had more leeway with Rogan if he had used that word in a comedy bit instead of in a podcast. You know, just saying it. If it was in a comedy bit, I bet you more people would be more forgiving of him. Not that I condone him using the word, but I'm just saying, you know, if it was in the sake of a joke on stage, I see how it would have slid.
Like, what is this in for Rogan? How far down the rabbit hole does this go? Like, because a lot of musicians are coming out now. Like, apparently Joni Mitchell, whoever even heard of her. I know India.Arie came out.
She was the first one to come out. Yeah.
Was she the first? I thought Neil Young was.
Well, yeah, Neil Young was, but India.Arie.
I think Joni Mitchell came after him, though.
India.Arie was.
And there's like a handful of them.
Yeah.
But like all of them are artists that are not even relevant no more.
And you know what? All of them which I hate to be the what is it, the tin hat guy, the conspiracy guy, but you notice all those artists who were leaving because of Joe Rogan are going to the same platform, which just happens to be advertising their new streaming feature.
What platform is that?
I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it has. I think Apple.
So this is really, they were going to leave the platform anyways, is what you're saying.
I'm saying most of those people were probably going to leave the platform anyway.
I mean, because they're already mad at Spotify because they say Spotify doesn't pay out enough. Mm-hmm. You know, but
yeah. So I don't like to say it's a conspiracy, but like that's a little bit too convenient. You know what I mean? Like, let's go after Rogan, so people will know it. Because when's the last time you heard somebody say Neil Young or Joni Mitchell's fucking name?
Never. Like, we know
now people are saying it all the time, and they're going to a new platform.
Neil Young is not even a top 3 Neil. You got Neil Armstrong, Neil Patrick Harris, Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond is the one we're talking about when it comes to music. You know, he's not even a top 3 Neil. Yeah. You know, they even said, look, there was 2 other Nils they had over him. Colin Kaepernick, he kneeled, and so did they said Tim Tebow, he kneeled. That's 5. He's not even top 5 in Nils. You know, but yeah, man, I just don't like the hypocritical stances. Like, that's what really gets me, is like when I see a musician going after freedom of speech, because it really started with this whole the talking about the vaccine, which in my opinion, I'm gonna say it here right now on my podcast, I feel like it's being false advertised as a vaccine because it doesn't stop you from spreading COVID and it doesn't stop you from getting COVID. And as far as I've known, vaccines in the past have always done those 2 things. I don't really feel like it's like, it's so hypocritical when we got the government talking about misinformation as much as they lie to us on the day-to-day, man. You know, like, when is a politician told the truth? They couldn't tell the truth to save their lives. And that goes for almost every politician that I could think of.
Yeah, that's true.
I know you probably got to go and whatnot. I got one last thing I want to ask you before we get off this. How the hell does Nelly upload a video accidentally on Instagram of him getting oral sex? How does anybody do that? Like, accidentally?
That just shows he was watching that shit on repeat.
So he was watching this old video again.
He's on his phone.
He was watching it and he just accidentally pressed the share. I mean, because when you go to share, it usually takes you to a whole nother screen. And then you got to share it again. Then you got to put in hashtags.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, man.
Everything, for me, everything today is planned. Like everything that happens.
That was calculated, right?
I had to get off TikTok because I started thinking to myself that every fucking TikTok that claims that this just happened is a setup. Like, oh, I had this altercation at the gym. Well, why is this altercation in 4K perfectly fucking angled? You know what I mean? Like, nah, dude, this world is becoming a stage.
The problem for me on TikTok is the non-binary people and the pronouns. Like this whole pronoun thing, they're gonna open up a rabbit hole because if it comes to the point where you gotta legally call people by their pronouns, they're not gonna like to call me by my pronouns. You're gonna have to call me God Almighty, King, Your Highness, Your Majesty, all the things that
King Dingaling.
Yeah, King fucking Kong, Godzilla, you know, like. Yeah, and then the non-binary thing, I don't know that that's ever going to be accepted in the Paul Pickett podcast worldview because I had to look it up and I was like, wait, non-binary, so you're not male nor you're female. I mean, at least a transgender person is taking male or female.
Yeah.
But this idea you're neither, what are you, an it?
I don't know. That's weird to me.
You're an it.
We're living in a new weird world.
Yeah.
A new fucking weird world, my man. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you came in on this podcast. Touched in basis on this comedy. You're actually my first guest on the Paul Pickett podcast. I had a co-host, but he didn't last but like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. He tried to.
That happens.
He tried to think he was Max Kellerman to my Stephen A. Smith or something. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I'm gonna let you get back to doing your thing. I know you got a long day at work. Hit me up on Facebook and enjoy the interview, my friend.
All right, appreciate it, brother.
Right,
talk to you later. Peace.
So what's good? What's good? I'm back. That was my friend Byron Brooks, comedian out of Baltimore. I hope you like what you heard. Nice topics talking about, you know, comedy and, you know, trying to make it as a musician. Really broke down the correlation of how they're really alike, trying to break an artist and trying to break a comedian. It's really the same path and the same journey, you know. So nice, juicy topics. Hope y'all enjoyed. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. If you need online marketing promotion for your music, your product, your brand, and your service, please check out promopalace.biz. If you're a dog lover, you're a cat lover, and you like t-shirts, hoodies, or sweatshirts with dogs and cats on them, please check out New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. That's NEWLITTER.com. For shizzle, last but not least, I got to shout out dizzlebrand.com. Just add ice, dizzle, and ice. Step into the future. Do you dizzle? And as you see, got the bottle right here, Dizzle. Got the Dizzle hat right here. You could get this on dizzlebrand.com. And Dizzle t-shirt established in 2001, as you see, rocking it, the Dizzle. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow we're going to rock the New Litter Apparel. Once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. Episode 107, Paul Pickett Podcast, your host, with my special guest appearance from good friend Byron Brooks. Peace, and I'm out.